Welcome to the EST Hangout.
This is the EST Hangout, and today's guests are...
Hey, good Thursday morning to you. Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. We're hopefully live on iHeartRadio, tune in, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Our stream just had a rough night last night.
Worked on the way here. And I was driving in, like the old days, driving in, listening, and it was worked fine.
Yeah.
The only thing is I took a call, and then I was like trying to get it back again. When you're on the phone, happens on my iTunes all the time. I got to go back and like restart it.
I just do the hey Siri.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I should do.
And it
yeah.
works.
But our stream must have been just staying up late with overtime last night. So I mean,
Man, it was
the rough
working hard.
Thursday. We're also on YouTube. Iwanyk, Joaquin Gage, Tom Gazzola, and Dean Millard with you here.
Yo.
Hopefully we'll figure out these this whale thing over the next couple of days. I am now. This has gotten to a point where now I'm just pissed off because I can't figure this out, and I have a couple of
it's
solutions.
been more than today.
Whale in the wall's been cutting.
It's been happening for a while, but it hasn't happened a lot. And then this week, it's like pummeling our stream.
See, it's not very often where I find Matthew Iwanyk gets stumped, like more than an hour or two, maybe a day at the most or something. Like if he can't figure out what's going on with like Juan Soto or Aaron Judge, he might take a little bit longer. But this is rare for you to be kind of like rattled here for like multiple days.
Well, because part of it too is like when I make a change, I have to wait till the next day for the shows to happen.
Oh, so it's like...
So it happens, and then it's like, okay, well, I can't... Like, one of the things I need to do, I know for sure, is mess with our router system a little bit. Well, I got to take us down now. So I got to wait till 1 o'clock. Because otherwise we can't go on the air. So there's certain things that I could try to tweak or play with, but I have to when we're off the air. And we don't even have commercial breaks to go to for me to try it that way. And so then this is we're at a point
some
now
live
with this.
Matthew cut-ins later tonight for testing. Is that what we're going to see? Like after dark?
Test.
Well, that's the thing. Like it ran
EST
perfectly
after
fine for the third hour of the Nielsen show. No issues. Yeah. So I'll run it for like an hour and it'll all be good. I'm like, awesome, we're good to go. And then the next day, morning show 6:05, it'll go out and be like, crap. But this is like back at the old place. This is part of like the last little bit where I couldn't figure something out, and then I'd go to the engineers.
Yeah.
And go, I need you guys now. This is when I need you. I could solve a lot of things for the radio side prior to that.
And they'd say, did you turn it off and on? Did you unplug it?
Did you hit it? Yeah. They would never ask me that because they knew I did that.
That's right. They'd know you'd gotten past the first three. Like with everybody else, it's like those are the first three questions.
Hey, if I had gotten to the engineers, it's bad. And now I'm at this point where I'm actually tempted to call one of our former engineers and go, hey, I need to just throw some stuff off you to try to figure this out. Yeah. So hopefully it's all working. I will say this. I know it is annoying to people, so apologies to that. But if it does keep happening, just please keep texting those in because we can't hear it.
If you are annoyed, just times that by 100 by what Matthew is going through right now.
He's a little bit irritated right now, as we know.
But you just text that in to us because we don't know that.
Hey, speaking of texting in Paris Jewelers inbox, Coach Mike off the hop. Just admit it, you guys. You're splicing in Whale and the Wolf as a throwback to getting Chet interference at 1260.
Oh, downtown? Downtown?
I feel bad, too, because...
Or maybe it's Whale and the Wolf doing it.
Well, but see, I feel bad because people are going to start hating Whale and the Wolf, and that's the opposite effect that we have. As Whale and the Wolf is the house band, is now people are just going to hear Whale and the Wolf like, I don't want to hear these guys anymore. And it's like, crap, we're trying to make you want to hear more of them. Yeah, it's not like this.
If you use your favorite song as an alarm, you're going to hate that song after a while, right?
I just blame Brett Kissel. I'm blaming him for everything else.
That seems to be the trend today.
It's not good.
I would like to know his record.
It's awful.
He has won games last year, I think.
No.
I'm sure there was games or last 2 years.
I don't think he's won a game.
There was one because I thought that they were going to lose again, and they happened to win. I recall one, I think.
I said it, Matthew.
And, as silly as that is, like, teams, and you know it, coaches are going to look at anything. Like, how many times in junior did a coach make the bus driver go a different way? Because the last time you were in there, you lost this way. And I'm not a big superstitious guy. I don't think there's a shutout jinx or a no-hitter jinx unless I'm specifically talking to the guy who's throwing it or playing it.
Yeah.
But when you're in the game, you think superstitions can affect things. You literally believe in that. Some people do.
Crosby was big with Superstitions.
Like, so I could imagine, this is not a stretch, and I'm not saying it's happened, but I can imagine somebody saying, we got to, like, not in the players, but somebody saying, we got to get a different anthem singer because we're losing all the time. Like, it's honestly what goes through the minds of people, and it's only 1-1.
They probably believe it, 60-40, you know, like,
yeah. Well, Dino, you did the pre and post game show for years. You know what it's like. You see all the theories, and you're like, it's because of this or that. I'm never doing this again. And it's like, yeah, okay. As long as you're coping, it's helping you cope.
Yeah, like somebody said the other day, I would have wore my jersey to work today, but I didn't on Monday. So you're depriving yourself of joy because you think that it's just
because I'm doing it for the team. It's the silliest I'm one of those people that does that stuff. Now, listen, I'm doing it for the team.
As a player, if you want to put your right skate on, like I would always put my left pad on, my right pad on. It was just habit. It wasn't like if I started with my right pad, I had to stop and go back to the other one. It was just habit. But for a player, that gets them maybe into the zone and the rhythm. So it's a little bit different, sort of as a guy who's in the game.
I'm going to defend the fan.
Is a little bit crazy.
I'm going to defend the fan here.
Oh, okay.
Baltimore Ravens Super Bowl over the San Francisco 49ers. Had family over. We're all sitting watching the game. Ravens are doing well. Halftime comes. Power outage. They come back. Ravens are up big. Gets a little warm. Somebody goes opens up a window in a side room. All of a sudden the 49ers make a comeback. The 49ers are returning. They're getting points. I can't remember if they have got the lead for a brief period of time or they got really close. I got upset. I got up, slammed that window shut, sat back down. Ravens then went on to win the football game.
So where was this game in?
It was in New Orleans.
No, where were you guys watching?
In my house.
So the winds from inside your house blew
the Ravens were playing well when the window was closed, and when it was open, that's when the 49ers played well.
That hot air movement from Edmonton down to New Orleans.
Yes,
it paid off.
You're like the Tom Holland, Peter Parker in No Way Home.
I'm just
amazing.
Explain that to me. Explain what happened that way. That entire playoff run, my jersey went on right before kickoff. I had a bowl of Fruity Pebbles every morning.
You were the thing.
You were 4 playoff games.
Did you get a ring?
Won.
Did you get a ring?
I deserve one.
Yeah,
great question.
I'm just saying, like it worked.
Even there should be
you can't tell me
fan rings then for Super.
You can't tell me it didn't work.
Did Matt T ever go into the story?
Yeah.
Which one?
When he was he was in Anaheim.
Tell it. No, he didn't tell it. I wanted to leave that one alone.
Yeah. So that was the Talbot holding the pad game,
yes,
right?
It was.
So the reason why that the Oilers lost that game, according to Mac T, was in the room up in the press box. You don't leave. Like you stay in there, regardless. You got to pee. You know.
Yeah.
You got overtime.
No, this is in the third period.
This is in the third period.
Edmonton's up 3-0.
But you're not allowed to leave?
No, that's a kind of a superstitious rule.
Okay, so
stay watching the game. And he looked at, they're up 3. He thought, this game's well in hand. He went to the bathroom.
Oh, my goodness.
Came back. And he blames himself.
That's Billy Bean from Moneyball when they got the lead and he goes to watch the game and then he thinks it's because of him.
He was Billy Bean.
How was Mac T wrong in his belief? I'm asking Dino, how's Mac T wrong? You're like, there's something to it. The world is full of simulations.
Yeah, and coincidences.
This is part of it.
Yeah,
coincidences.
Keith Gretzky he jumps in on that story and he'll be like, "What the hell are you doing? Stay in there.
Stay in there. What are you doing?"
Oh my goodness. It's quite funny. Mac T made me laugh the other day. Gretzky's shorthanded goal in
great shot
over the shoulder of
Gager
Vernon.
would have had that though.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's my favorite Gretzky goal, but I was watching that the other day and I'm like, wow, this is so similar to 06 because it's shorthanded. It's a big goal. Slats turns around and gives it to the fans. 06, Pisani, Game 6, shorthanded. Game 5, I think it was. Yeah. Mac T turns around. We'll be back. And I'm like, wow, it comes full circle. So just when you brought up Mac T and the Superstitions, it's like he's channeling his inner Slats in that moment.
So back to Brett Kissel, like you just punt him.
Yeah, no, he can't come back. Enough's enough.
Poor guy came up to me yesterday and he's like, if they lose, they're going to blame me.
Yeah,
no.
What did I do? I texted the group chat.
He said it did say it right at the beginning.
Right when he came out,
he also called overtime, which I'm not happy about. 2 guys, he called it. He said OT. That was his fault.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Whatever. I didn't know Brett Kissel was involved. I would have. As soon as that hat goes on the end of the guitar, everything about it now. I just don't like it. I don't like it. Go.
He's a nice young man. He's
go
not
up
even
to
a
the
young.
moss
He's a nice
pit
man.
and do your
like
stuff
Brett.
out there. Just stay out of the rink.
Also, just let Robert Clark do it.
I know.
He's
Roberto.
great. This is the playoffs. Keep him. He worked hard all regular season to get to that point. You keep him out there.
It's ridiculous. He only
Put him
sings
in the
half a
stands.
song anyway.
Yeah.
Like have him do 1.5 songs. Jeez.
I'm not blaming Brett.
I'm gonna
I'll
literally.
join
I had
Ginger's
somebody
side.
say to me the other day that and I do not believe this, but they felt what Clark does is disrespectful to what Paul Lorio started.
Oh God.
Why?
I don't know.
In
Isn't
what
it
way?
an ode to Paul Lorio?
That's what
Yes.
I thought. Yeah, because it should have been.
The girl in Vancouver did it the other day.
I know.
Well, they started it.
Vancouver
The
did.
first time it happened was actually in Vancouver before
Yeah.
Paul.
That's good to know.
That actually
is good
did
to know.
happen in Vancouver first.
And
Paul
that
Lorio and
Vancouver
Edmonton
guy, he
made it big.
He also did the first trip over the rug while he was singing.
Mark-
He was skating around.
Yeah.
He felt like he was gonna skate around.
Yeah.
Great, great, like top 5 anthem moments. That's got to be in there.
Paul Lorio. When
Yeah.
Paul Lorio first did it.
Carl
Lewis, the
those ones.
the Christmas tree, like just the
Roseanne
top
Barr.
yeah, Roseanne Barr, yeah.
Fergie.
But yeah, I don't mind it. I like it doesn't bother me that he goes in the stands, but I think it's silly that people are literally losing their
They get
minds
so
over the
bent
anthem
out.
singer.
I would like to know what the record is.
That's fair. That's
But yeah,
that's
I
a
could
stat.
see somebody up in management something saying we got to get a different anthem singer. Like,
Yeah. No, he was doing both anthems too. And then what happened? One time the mic went out.
That was great, and everybody
And
picked
they
Did
him
the
up.
mic go out?
Well,
Oh,
whatever
my-
it did, it
here we
changed
go.
the mojo
Here
of
we
everything.
go.
And then he doesn't sing, and the Oilers won that. I think that's his last victory. To tell you the truth.
You are salty today.
I know. There's some people that don't believe that mic went out. There are people out there that think that was nicely planned. So I'm
Oh,
gonna.
really?
there are also
So I am
people
salty.
that
So I'm gonna throw in those mix.
there are
I'm
also
gonna defend
people
those
that think
people.
that the Vegas Golden Knights like sat one of their best players for the last bit of the season, jeopardizing a
Yeah.
potential playoff spot to potentially fit more money in. Like I
You
get
don't
that-
think that they held out Stone a little bit longer?
no. I don't think
they
they're
did.
risking home ice or a different thing or a potential getting into the playoffs for as long as they
What
did.
about Pietrangelo?
Yeah, he. I would have him in my like. I
Because
just
the thing is,
listen,
for
I
them
just
to
don't
be
see,
back for just game one.
I just don't see
That's
Kelly
where-
McCrimmon saying, you know what, we're good enough to coast in with what we without Pietrangelo, Hurdle, whatever, whoever else you want to say they were. I just think that the conspiracy theorists are like Kelly McCrimmon is. He's got cojones, but I don't think he's got that big of cojones to risk a potential missing a playoffs or the fact that you lost out on home ice advantage. I just don't think it's conceivable that a team's going to risk. Like I could say you're if a guy you're not sure he's going to be back, okay, but for a month or whatever it was, and then when they produced the information where they did the studies and where they received it all, it's like. People are going to great lengths to think that this is a orchestrated conspiracy.
But 3 years in
Shocking.
a row?
Well, why wouldn't you use it 3 years in a row if you got players hurt?
Well, I
Like it's available to you.
I
Just
know.
like like if you have a player hurt, why didn't the Oilers do that with Kane?
Because Kane didn't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be the one that I
Yes,
would go.
the
Kane
player.
doesn't look like he
Yeah, well,
wanted
you're not
to.
like you're certainly not playing with a spleen injury. Like you're depending on what degree it is. I listen to for people to sit there and get pissed off at the Tampa Bay Lightning when they did it and the Vegas Golden Knights
Hawks did it too.
and the Hawks is silly. It's like the deferred money in baseball. It's allowed. It's in the system. Don't get mad at the team that's taking advantage of it. Get mad at the people who allowed it.
Yeah, no.
Well, that's how I am. I'm not mad at the team so much.
But that's what
should
the
be
sentiment
fixed.
is that they're cheating.
They should fix it. Well, yeah, but they should fix it.
It should be fixed, but it's not going to be fixed until the CBA is.
I know.
Because I
Two
also
more
don't know
years.
how you fully
So-
fix this still.
Well, it's
I
like
still don't know fully
it's
what
putting the genie back in the bottle is going to be hard to do, especially when other GMs. It's a copycat league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I cannot see a team sitting those guys out, especially Pietrangelo. Like he's the best of them all.
He is a
What
tremendous
was their
player.
cushion? They had a pretty good. I don't know.
I don't think anyone was catching
If I'm a GM, I'd plan for it. I would.
You would take that risk if I was like already second, first, third, but they were in like precarious, and then they dropped down to that final wild card spot.
Yeah.
I would be really scared taking that chance.
I'm
If
sure
I was
there was-
higher up, I'd have no. Like Tampa did it with Kucherov because they were so far ahead, it didn't matter.
I'm sure there was some puckering at a certain
Well,
point.
when they dropped out of the
for
home
sure,
ice
even
or
that,
whatever.
But it got to the point where they were free and clear, and now look at them though. It's worked.
It got to that point, but to sit there and say a month or month and a half out, we can do this, we can hold on. I just think that's a gamble that a professional sports GM, like different leagues, I can't see a professional general manager taking that risk
I would of trying to win
of where they were.
They were never sitting out of the playoffs.
No, that's true.
And that's the difference. I think if
the month and a half, look how tight the East got in the last month and a half.
So I think there would have been a point. Well, but that's the risk you're taking so you could be at an $87 million cap last night over 82.
But it doesn't help you if you don't get in. That's all I'm saying.
Once you get in, you're now laughing.
Yeah. So if you had like a massive cushion like Tampa had when they did it, I don't think LA or Vegas had like a month and a half to go in the season or whatever. It wouldn't have been something I would have risked anyway.
If it wasn't Mark Stone, and this wasn't the third straight year of Mark Stone it happening, I could agree with. If it was a different player,
how many times has Mark Stone played a full season?
No,
ever.
But to be ready exactly on game one, like it's not like it's just out before trade deadline.
Yeah.
They got to go make a move at the deadline. Then game one, he's ready to go.
Well,
not game three, not game four, not round two, game one.
When you know you're gonna be making that decision. Yeah, then you're taking the full advantage of it.
But
the guy has to be hurt. What I'm saying is people saying this guy is faking an injury. And that's that's what I'm saying. They have independent medical doctors that go into. Are they stretching it out because they can? Yeah,
they are.
But that's not hiding. That's using the.
It's massaging the rules.
They still have to go before a doctor and say this guy is cleared, or we would clear this guy, or we would not clear this guy.
As Gary Lawless put it on the Rink Report a couple of weeks ago, he goes, "Folks, it's not like the Vegas Golden Knights doctors are going and cutting guys' spleens open."
Are they? Are you sure?
They're not using Dr. Nick from
Vegas.
The Simpsons. Man.
You never know what's happening in Vegas.
I don't
The
know.
B is for bargain.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
There's a few things off the strip you can get done.
There's a lot of weird stuff.
If you need things done in this, Vegas has the place that probably for it.
I'll ask you this: which do you think more, that Vegas is purposely doing this, or the win from Matt's house helped the Baltimore Ravens win a game? Like, what is more? They're both incredibly insane
the one
to me.
For the window, it worked because the Ravens won the Super Bowl. So
Vegas won the Cup last year.
It worked, so no, I don't think any team is faking injuries here. I do. Mark Stone had something. It's not
lacerated spleen.
I know, but
don't roll your eyes at
My
me,
brother
Gage.
had a lacerated spleen. He went to rush him to the hospital.
Lacerated.
Maybe it's not the full laceration. Maybe
He had
maybe
indigestion for crying out loud.
Indigestion. Oh my goodness. It's like when you get rushed to the hospital, having a heart attack. No, you just have indigestion or whatever.
Acid reflux.
Yeah.
Okay, this is opening up so many funny texts.
By the way, before you do that,
he could have taken a Tums.
Oh my God.
maybe two.
And he's back for the third period.
Matt Iwanyk, Joaquin Gage, Tom Gazzola, Dean Millard with you here on the EST Hangout, presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. Coming up just after 10 o'clock, our final keyword for the Hangout for the EST Flyaway. We're giving this away tomorrow, so only 3 more chances today here on the Hangout, then a lock shop, and then 2 guys and a goalie. Then we're giving this thing away tomorrow. Yes, now you can take it away.
Okay.
I just wanted to reset there.
780-218-9999, Paris Jewelers Inbox. Neil says, I've got one. Going back to a few years ago, whenever I host the viewing parties for the Oilers, I've missed most of the Oilers' goals when I get up and go get a drink from the fridge. So last night, I was banished from viewing the viewing room by my guests. Plus, I was getting up several times for bevies during the game. Cheers, Neil.
you go.
Boom.
There's and I love these stories because at one point when I was a fan as a kid, I did the same thing too, right? There's a great commercial right now that the NHL has out about two Colorado fans that are dating. And, every year they get together and then they lose and they lose and they lose. And then the one time they're apart for when they just won in 2019 or whatever. And it's like, oh my God, they're on the phone. Can you believe the one time we're apart, they won. And they kind of look, and then it cuts to the next season, and she's with another guy, and he's with another girl, and it says, they were always together, blah, and they parted mutually, and they're both giving each other the thumbs up because they're so happy now that the Avalanche. It's like, yeah, you will break up with somebody because if somebody went on a first date last night, they're never, and they're an Oilers fan, they might never be going on another date with that person. Like you could be letting the dream person of your life walk out because you think that was the cause, like the cosmic thing. So superstitions do crazy things to people, for sure.
So sporting events are a good first date because if you like them, then it's great. And whatever. You don't really cheer for a team, and then you can always just say, "Well, we were together." My
that's
team
a Seinfeld
lost.
episode right there. That's a Seinfeld episode.
And then you can pull it that way.
Speaking of Seinfeld, here's a segue. The goaltending last night was like that Seinfeld episode where she looked good in one light and then not so good in another light. Because at times, like the Talbot save was spectacular.
Yeah.
And then Skinner at the 1 point tripping and the one going off the post. It's like at times these guys looked like they were Vezina, Conn Smythe candidates. And at times it looked like they didn't know what they were doing. Now, is that just playoff hockey at times, or is that just a guy not being in his own rhythm? Because at times that Talbot save on the back door was incredible.
Incredible save, but to me, both these guys have not reached up and grabbed this series either. Right? They're two guys still playing regular season goaltending. I don't think either of them have played particularly well. The goals that are going in, they're stoppable pucks. There's a lot of stoppable pucks. When you look at the huge performances of goaltenders in playoffs that are considered to be like in the Conn Smythe conversation, they rarely get beat by clean shots. It's always a screen or a deflection or a lucky bounce, and there have been some of those on Skinner, but. And I love Skinner. I think he's a fantastic goalie. I do believe he's capable of great things during the playoffs, but there's two goals. He looked like he was caught off guard in certain situations.
Yeah.
Well, the far side shot from the
Fiala one
boards,
that was
terrible
very
goal.
yuck.
He wasn't ready for it. I can tell by his body language going down like that. You just go, oh my gosh, the puck's coming. Like he didn't see it, and
you're just hoping it hits you.
And I remember your job as a goaltender is to find the puck, right? You're like screening is a very bad excuse to me. You're going to be screened at times, but you have to, from that distance, you should be able to pick it up.
At some point, you should be able to see
and be able to stop that puck. And even the first goal, I find he was a little bit caught off guard. I mean, there was a bunch of errors before that whole play.
Compounding mistakes, as Cass likes to call it.
Yeah. And great shot by Kempe. Like, unreal. But he just looked like, oh my gosh, oh, and then his reaction seemed not ready to his... Yeah. I think one of Stuart Skinner's greatest attributes is actually reading the play. Like he's a positional type goaltender, and he recognizes where things are happening before they are. And he looked to me last night just a little step behind.
This is the EST Hangout headlines, which is brought to you by the Ranch Golf and Country Club, offering premier conditions, top-notch service, unmatched value. Great choice for any golf round that you want to take part in this season. Book your tee time by visiting theranchgolf.com. Does it concern you yet that Skinner hasn't gotten there through 2 games?
No, not yet.
Because he didn't have a great first playoffs, right? And that's where, like, to me, the regular season is the regular season. It doesn't matter. It's what can you do in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. He had a great regular season again, but through 2 games, he hasn't been Skinner of regular season, even fully. So, like, when would you get concerned that we're not seeing Skinner dialed into the playoffs?
Well, he has to have a game in LA. Like, this is that enough. He has to have
It has to come in one of the
momentum
next
builder.
two. Yeah.
Yeah.
A game 3 or just one of 3 or 4?
No, 3. You don't
Okay.
look past. You can't look past it. You got to allow your team to score the first goal. I think is crucial. LA's got the kind of momentum, right? As a goaltender, you're trying to halt that by slowing things down, making saves, do all those types of things. He's got to establish himself as a huge player in this series.
But I heard you earlier talking about you think he's got to be in Conn Smythe. I don't. I think. I mean, listen, you can look at Vasilevsky as a Conn Smythe type goaltender, but Chicago won with everybody's favorite Uncle Niemi.
But he was he was in the conversation. I'm not saying win it.
No, but
he's in the conversation.
He's got to be one of the 3 best players.
He was a rebound
for the
machine. I didn't think he was great. I thought they won despite him, man. Honestly, with
Niemi?
Yeah, I didn't think he was that good. The Flyers went to I'm not saying he can be below average or average. He's got to be above average. I don't know if with this Oilers team he has to be what Dwayne Rollison was in maybe 06 or what the Golden Knights got last year. I think with this team he just has to be solid. Just I'm with you on that. Not overdo it. You know, like you don't have to be Cujo with the Oilers. He doesn't have to be the reason they win. He just has to be a piece of it. They've got so many good pieces around him. Just don't mess it up. And like I'd love to see him as a goalie just run with it and take all the crap that people have been giving him and shove it right to them because I want to see him succeed. But I don't want to, and I don't think he is. I don't want him to think he has to be Conn Smythe when they've got the best weapons in the NHL around him. Yeah. So just keep them in it.
I would actually want him to think he wants to be Conn Smythe.
But I
want him thinking that, like, I want him going into games going, I'm going to be the difference maker.
But I don't want him to think he has, like, I have to go out and be a Conn Smythe for this team. Just keep your team, just play solid.
But doesn't that take a little bit, like, if you're starting to hedge, doesn't that take away, like, I feel like it's the best competitor.
No, but I don't know, like, does every athlete go into every game saying, I got to have a shutout or I got to be the best?
Yeah,
I'm going to play the best I can. If I give up 3 goals and we win 4-3, okay, be the Grant Fuhr. You give up 6, you win 7-6, whatever, like... Just go into it and think this is Canada Cup '87. We're going to lose 6-5, win 6-5, win 6-5. But I just think that I don't want him to get it in his head that he has to be the difference maker. Just be good and solid.
The issue with that is, and the teams that you're mentioning, the Philadelphia, and even if you look at the Avalanche and what was the other one?
Vegas.
Edmonton. There's Chris Pronger was on 2 of those teams.
Yeah.
And that Cale Makar was on the other one. Oilers don't have a perennial Norris trophy candidate.
But they have perennial Hart candidates up front.
But
the Norris is elevated.
Everyone does at that point. And you look back at the teams that you could say, well, goaltending wasn't. They had a Hall of Famer on defense that was playing 30 minutes a night in the playoffs. And to me, the Oilers don't have that. And yeah, you don't go in thinking, I got to have a Conn Smythe performance every game, but I have to be a difference maker.
Yeah, that's right.
And so,
a difference maker, but I don't think he has to be the 3 best players on the Oilers. On the Oilers roster. I don't think he has to be the 3 best players in the final.
I think he does.
Just to counter that thought, Pittsburgh did win twice with Matt Murray and a patchwork defense.
But Matt Murray was great at the time.
He could have won the Conn Smythe.
Matt Murray was, in that stretch of time, was one of the top goalies.
And look at, like, Vegas had 7 goalies last year. Like, Casey DeSmith could be the Flyers. The year they went against the Kings, they had like 4 or 5.
Michael Layton was their starter.
A guy can get hot.
Anyone can get hot.
I just don't think that Skinner has to think to himself, like, I have to be the difference maker. I'm going to be one of them, but the team in front of me, that team in front of him, with him playing above average, not like on the highest pedestal, just above average, should be good enough to win the West.
So essentially you're saying you don't want him to put
too much pressure. Like,
on
yeah,
himself.
it's just self pressure.
Overthink it.
Or fans, if he gives up a bad goal, to be like, oh my God, this is, like.
Yeah.
I don't think he is. Like,
Yeah, he seems like a pretty level-headed and not that type of guy. That
No.
I just worry. Like last year, he struggled. Like the team and the people got on him. And I as a professional athlete, first of all, I would never have social media, but I just hope that he is the type of guy that doesn't have to put that much pressure, because the fans are like when last night wasn't a great game, and
No.
it gets piled up even though it's 1-1.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different era, obviously, but how easy is it to cut out fans and media? Is it?
Right, it just turned your phone off, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah,
For some guys, that's hard.
I mean,
Because
yeah,
now,
good
like
point.
social media, it is a little more different than when you were playing and stuff.
Oh,
but
yeah.
with the 6 o'clock newses, with the newspapers, with the radio stations and stuff, was it
Sunshine Boy.
Did it get to like? Is it very easy to cut that away, or is that something you have to work at?
No, not really. Because I mean, if I knew when I played great,
Yeah.
and I knew the papers would be glowing about me, or when I played bad, I knew they were just going to rip me apart. You know that, right? So reading it, if you take the good, you have to take the bad.
Would you
too.
read it? Would you read the paper?
Yeah. I go, well, that's kind of true.
People say they don't. You know what? But that's part.
prick.
Yeah, that's part of self-evaluation too.
Yeah,
is being
yeah.
able to accept that criticism. That if you want to be a professional athlete, or you want to be in the limelight, like even on this stuff, you're going to take good and bad, and
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
can't take it, it's the wrong place to be.
yeah.
So I would shut out social media if I wouldn't have that.
Same.
Or it'd be
It's
totally
there for
locked down.
endorsements, right?
Yeah, maybe
Like
that's it.
McDavid doesn't do much.
And
It's
it'd be
there
all
to
locked
retweet,
down,
like
right? Like
Adidas
it'd be-
stuff or something. Like I'm
Because
getting paid out.
The
push
last
that out
thing
there.
any professional athlete needs is Joe 55 with shades and a hat and whatever, telling them
Sick
that they're a
look.
bum.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's
Yeah.
like, oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, no.
Like the guy, I love that there was a tweet last night. Has this Ray Ferraro guy ever played a game? And the guy tagged Ray, and Ray just replied, "Yep." 1,258, and then the person got roasted. It's just
As
like
he should.
Ray's done that to a lot of people. I've seen that, and then I was wondering if that guy was now just trolling.
Oh, it
Was
could have been,
hoping
eh?
to- because I saw,
And then that guy
there's
just
no
laughing
way
that I
got him.
You
God.
can't know now that Ray Ferraro played and all this. Like he's done this so much on Twitter, and I'm really hoping that guy wasn't that big of an idiot, and he was actually just
I
trying
hope
to
he was.
troll
Oh, it
and
was-
getting Ray Ferraro to quote tweet him. So like, yeah, I got Ray to quote tweet me here.
either way, it was. I'm like,
He
that's
has the-
kind of funny.
The best, like,
There was a goals one he had.
I loved when Dusty was doing the United Cup during COVID or whatever, and
Yeah.
do it play-by-play on the video game, and he would, because Ray Ferraro was in between. Ray, down to you. He's not talking to us. Oh my God, that was great.
I got a text here for the goalie killed. Question for you guys. Trev Lindy with this one says, how does Stu not just go down in the butterfly, another smother the pocket, take the Doughty hit on that breakaway?
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, what happened there? How does he not go into the butterfly and just smother the puck and
Well,
take
it's
the
just
hit?
his stick, right? If his stick
It's-
is even in the
you know
right,
the
like,
move that guys do. Sometimes they push it and then go around it
Yeah.
and go through it and it goes in. It's a great move because you
fake
it
the goalie
takes,
out.
It takes a very deft hand eye and to make it look like you're going the other way.
Yeah.
It for a guy's
to not make it obvious, right?
Yeah. So a guy's coming down. Doughty is definitely going to his backhand, right? And you can actually see Stuart Skinner prepare himself going left to right.
Yeah.
So, and it changes direction, not because Doughty does anything, but because your own player interferes. I mean, yeah, you would like him to go down, but if he just goes down in a butterfly, Doughty goes to the left and roofs it.
Yeah,
If that
or it
doesn't-
goes right through because
Yeah,
the
or-
stick was moving
Yeah,
too, right?
so-
So he was preparing for the move that you thought was going to happen. It's like a deflection, right?
It's
When you're
essentially-
going
yeah.
over to stop a deflection over here and it gets tipped over here.
Yeah.
Well, what are you supposed to do? You
Yeah.
were in the right position for the shot. He was preparing for the right position for the shot. The one I didn't have a problem was the
Fiala.
shot that we talked about, like
Yeah.
the deflection out of the air. Well,
That's
just-
beautiful.
that's incredible. And
That's only credit to Kemp.
Great goal.
the slow motion didn't do it justice because it looked so easy
I
for
know.
Kempe and slow. It
Yeah.
looked, I'm gonna go over here, but that was like bang bang.
Yeah.
Like it was
Yeah.
so fast. When I watched it in slow motion, I'm like, that looks so easy, and it's not, right?
I was like, oh my God, my mouth was open. I'm like, what a goal. And I looked at Cass, and Cass like, what the hell just happened? And Daniel Nugent-Bowman, they're like, what was that? I'm like, did you not see that? That was amazing. Because Bouchard made the right play. Get the stick.
There's not much you can do on that.
Bouchard didn't make the right play.
What do you mean? What was he supposed to do, Gager?
Just take the guy going to the net.
But that's
not knock the puck away?
No. Not out of the air like that.
But their instinct, right, is to go knock the puck. It's just we've gotten
sticks in lanes, right?
I just this is the this is really nitpicking, but I just find that why not just cover the guy if he just goes. The puck's kind of like
nobody does that in the NHL anymore.
Well, they didn't do that on the game winner, so
that was the play. Like the play was to Kempe in front.
Yeah, you just take the guy out and he can't bat it in.
You don't have to battle physical. All you have to do is have your stick under his stick.
And then at that point, the puck is going to the goalie. But in that moment, they're thinking, knock it down.
Let your goalie take. Okay, I've eliminated the most dangerous guy on the ice, and it's the guy without the puck. Skinner should be able to handle something from there.
The game winner was the problem. I mean, Byfield, he knocks that down. It's a great play, but why is Nurse?
He took the step in the
Cass
and I talked about last night. His one step opened it up
so that he had the room.
Gave Kopitar that jump ahead.
In an overtime, you can't. I don't think you can make that.
Read.
You got to protect the middle.
You have to. You were the last guy. They went the right play for. I'm just mind blanking
off the wall or. Okay, CC was off the wall. He was at the right spot.
That's the right play.
No,
because Byfield made an incredible play to knock that down. So CC was in the right spot to take that away, knowing he has support, which he didn't have. If he has that support, it just goes and it's broken up. Because that would have been an icing.
Yeah.
If Byfield doesn't knock it down. So I just didn't know why, and I can never see the right angle of a. I wanted to see an overhead to see how it worked out, but I'm like. You've got to stay back if your other guy is pinching in overtime.
If Byfield meant to take just enough off of that, so it landed perfectly in the slot.
Oh my God! Yeah,
he should get the Hart Trophy just for that. That was a kind of a lucky play.
He's just trying to tip it so it's not an icing, right?
Yeah. He didn't mean for it to come back. Like it hits the end. Yeah, whatever.
Which makes me wonder why.
Great play.
If it's going to be an ice, I'm just wondering why the D-man's not going back for that. Why is he? That's what I didn't understand.
It was that one weird step that Darnell took that opened it up.
And it's just like a half a second,
Kopitar the window,
yeah. And great shot again.
Oh my goodness!
But again, I like when I see that play, it happens so fast. Like from the one end to the time Kopitar's on top of Skinner is what 3 seconds,
maybe that. Yeah.
So it goes from for a goaltender, you're looking puck's in the other end. All right, what's happening? That's icing. Oh, boom. Oh my gosh! You look at Skinner's positioning; he's not even out of the crease by the time Kopitar. It's another
he didn't
indication.
cut down the angle enough, right? And that's why he had a little bit more room.
Exactly.
And if he's another half a foot out, probably don't even see that. And that's the thing. Half a second, Nurse going back the other way. Maybe he's able to get in front or something like that. So that split second in overtime. That's the difference in that in a freak play. Let's like you said, if he does it on purpose, he's the greatest player. It's a luck play that the Oilers got caught on.
But it's another indication to me that Stuart Skinner wasn't his recognition of the play wasn't where it usually is. Mm-hmm. Like he would there's maybe. You trust your players at that point. He saw Nurse. He's kind of got, but he just where his positioning was normally. And it's a difficult play.
Like Dino said, it was bang bang.
It was really quick, but his positioning is usually a little bit. He's above he's out of the blue paint.
I wonder too. He thinks I wonder if part of him maybe already started. To go back, just in that, in your head, right? You're like, oh, it's going to be an icing. You're starting to prepare. Maybe you're not moving, but you're in your mind. You're like, I got to get back and stop this behind oh no, there he comes. Like you're anytime you see a bounce off the boards and you're going this way and then you got to react or whatever. I just wondering if his mind, because we all thought it was going to be just a tipped icing to go through and then an all-world play. And
there was a goal in the PWHL last night, I think. It hit a stanchion, goes in. I'm famous for it.
There's a rink that we did JPHL games in Vancouver. You know how you punch the stopper down to open the door?
Yeah.
Well, this was on the inside, and it stuck up about half. And I'm like, there's your break in and break out. You fire that one in, it's going straight at the net.
Yeah.
And I talked to some of the goalies, I'm like, just don't take your eye off the puck. You can't plan for a bad bounce, but in a rink like that, you just got to be watching the whole time and be ready. But I'm saying, like, that's your planned breakout. You fire it around, it goes off that, right out to the center, up the middle. I'm like, stanchions are bad enough. You don't need a stopper up like 2.5 inches or whatever.
I always heard the rink crew in the old Buffalo. I think it was the Buffalo.
Yeah, the kick plate.
The rink guy would stand there and they'd dump the puck in and he'd just kick the boards.
And then the little bottle would
thing
come
would
out?
pop up
Yeah.
and they would come straight back out into the slot.
That is home ice advantage.
That is home ice.
More of that in sports, please.
Yeah, smaller rinks.
Yeah.
Home ice, Boston Gardens, right? Smaller.
Yeah.
When they were designing Rogers Place, they needed to put that in the workings. Where's the edge
Well,
we
Let's
go for?
engineer competitive
even,
advantages.
Well, Rexall, the bench was shorter, right?
Yeah,
The visitor bench was
yeah.
shorter.
Something like
The
Home ice
old
advantage,
Joe Louis. How many times they had lively boards in the one end, right? That was a play by
Those boards-
Lidstrom. He would just shoot it. How many
That's
times
right.
he shoot it wide?
Why
And
wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Like,
and just
why
it would
wouldn't you take advantage
It was like
of that,
a
right?
one-timer back to you, right?
those boards.
It was like
were
a pass
so
off the
old.
boards.
Yeah.
I went and looked at them because first of all, Joe Louis was a dump.
Oh, it's terrible.
Terrible, and it's had this funny stink to it.
Is that
And-
the Zamboni driver?
Oh, I don't know
But
what.
didn't he urinate into?
Yeah, he got fired.
Yeah,
and-
because of that.
Yeah, it reeked in there, and it was terrible.
Oh yeah, he was
But
being in the,
He's being in like
being in
the
drain.
removal
Yeah.
drain or whatever.
Oh.
Maybe that was the lady he did it for so many years. It just started sticking up all like Joe
It's all
Louis.
rusted. Yeah, it was weird, and the seats were crap. Anyway, I went and looked at those boards because that was the thing. There's like you hear about the boards at Joe Louis Arena, and I looked at them, and like I swear to God, guys, there was like old wood paneling around the bottom. I'm like, this is 1981 right here. I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
Plywood. Yeah.
This is garbage, and they're still using it, and they had all these great teams. That's crappy character.
But like
it's
Golden
character.
Claire Drake Arena was square, right? And
Yeah.
so the
Has that been
Golden
fixed?
Bears.
No,
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think it's a little bit better, but
no, I almost killed a linesman
okay.
in men's league.
But yeah,
trying
it's
to clear
like-
it out, and
so
took
they-
a
And
weird
then the
bounce.
away bench is really
Yes,
small.
that's
what I
mean,
And it's
yeah.
right next to the penalty box, and they're
you-
standing in the hallway. I love it.
If I was designing, like I think we talked about this last time. Ballmer, the Clippers guy, is designing a building, and it's going to have a fan zone. Every chair is going to they're going to have a place that you can't wear visiting jerseys.
No,
and stuff.
right.
I would if I was designing a rink, I would love to have the freedom to say, like in baseball, okay. We're going to draft a lot of power hitting guys. We're going to have a short porch or whatever. In hockey, to have the old Boston Garden, to have to go in there and be like, okay, now this is a different game. Or maybe a team had Olympic ice. Imagine a series going from the Boston Garden to Olympics, like the Saddle Dome, where maybe they had Olympic
They
ice.
did have Olympic, but then they
shortened it.
Yeah, they did.
But I just think.
Because that's soccer
character.
too. Soccer, there is no actual field dimension that
They
like
can
you
do
have
whatever
to be
they want?
within certain
Yeah, that's
ones.
right, yeah,
like
same thing.
Wembley
Yeah,
is like the biggest soccer field in the world. Others are a little
I
bit
think that's
shorter.
great, and
The reason
baseball
so
does
far
that.
didn't get, I think, the World Cup
Like,
final partly was because it would
football
be
and
smaller.
basketball and hockey is now just cookie cuttered as far as like the stadiums you can have, but
What
the
could you
field
do
of
for
play,
hockey besides
just the
international ice
size.
versus normal ice?
You could go back to what you could give a smaller. You could have like a minimum and a maximum, and most people are going to probably be somewhere in the middle. But maybe there's a guy who's like, I want bangers and crashers, and I want a shorter neutral zone or something like that. I don't know.
Well, that's how the Bruins were designed
Yes,
back then, right?
of course.
Just kill the big, huge.
They worked like we look at the Yankees and
Right field wall?
the porch there, and
Which actually, I don't think they planned. Because they wanted to just redesign Yankee Stadium, but they didn't take account, if I'm not mistaken, the wind.
Yeah, because it carries
And the
the
way
ball
they
out,
turned
right?
it, like, because it's turned or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And then now that, like, it was like game one or whatever, they realized, oh boy, this is like right field.
Yeah.
Balls just go. Like a pop fly just heads out and ever since, like, awesome.
well,
Cool.
look at the
Got a
Toronto
short
did
right
that
field
this
wall.
year. They changed the dimensions, and they're like, okay, so now we can bring in this type of player or whatever. I just think it would just give a little bit more character
That'd be
and
neat.
things to the sport where everything seems to be a little bit cookie
No.
cutter and copycat, right?
Dino.
What does this team do? Let's do it. Let's
I've got a brilliant idea.
Okay.
Whatever end zone you attack twice, you funnel the ice so it's slanted towards the
Oh,
net.
I love it. And maybe
I'm
some
just saying.
marbles.
Wasn't West End?
Yeah.
Didn't the
Marbles?
West End Mall, like, kind of like wasn't there like almost like a hill at center ice or something?
That was when they had the old ice plant.
Yeah.
It was uneven.
Didn't it like come up and it's down? And...
I grew up in Brandon. We had a rink called the Kinsman that literally, if you stood on the goal line at the Zamboni entrance, you would just slowly start. So when I played goal, I had to always kind of like just like have the snow plow a little bit just to prevent. Because if I was like when I was little, I would sit there. And then my dad would be like, hey. I would, oh, geez, I'm like 2 feet out of, like, because the ice kind of went for whatever reason.
Man.
But that's it's
fun.
like the Red Bull, but
crashed ice,
crashed ice, but in an actual game or something.
And I do say this at the old Coliseum, it's marshland at Northlands. I was told by the maintenance crew there. Fantastic guys and girls. But the pad had heaved. And by the penalty box at the old building, it was only like a quarter of an inch from the cement pad to the edge of the ice. And so there was a visiting team in there, and they were doing like tight turns right at the penalty box. And George and I think Chris from the rink crew were sitting there like, someone's going to hit the cement pad. And luckily they didn't, because they're cutting deep, right? And they're getting big grooves, and they knew that they only had a quarter of an inch to work with. But and they weren't going to replace the pad because they knew they were getting the new arena. But just one of those interesting things.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's funny when the arena that I was telling you about with the big stopper, I was told when they built onto this out at Planet Ice in BC, they didn't put a pad down. They just built it on the sand or whatever. So it just shifts. Yeah. So you just never know what bounce you're going to get. It's like a mystery rink. Today it's shifted here or whatever.
Good luck.
So,
well, the Glenora, I remember there was just this massive ball of ice, like until they actually redid everything. The Oilers were practicing there for a while, but Ian Herbers told me they had to stop because the dimensions were too small. Yeah, and they were trying to work on power play stuff, and they didn't have enough time. Like there was
room didn't have enough space.
The rink weren't proper NHL dimensions, so they stopped practicing there.
They used to practice at Argyle a couple times. Like I think because Belsey used to have his HC Edmonton team at Argyle. Now they told me about that. Have the beautiful silent. It's like the penthouse to or the outhouse to the penthouse. But yeah, I think there a couple times I remember. I think I was watching a practice with Larry Onoff one time when he was representing Yakupov, and I think we were there, and I'm like, this is why is an NHL team practicing in one of these rinks? Well, maybe it wasn't Argyle, it was one of those rinks, but it wasn't.
When a rink uses a sheet of plywood instead of replacing glass with other plexiglass, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Tough to watch.
This is the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The hard seltzer that started the wave, made with refreshingly real flavors for their iconic taste. White Claw, the difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk, Joaquin Gage, Tom Gazzola, Dean Millard with you here on Edmonton Sports Talk on TuneIn, iHeartRadio, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, as well as those watching on YouTube. Time now for our final keyword for the EST flyaway, as we are giving this away tomorrow. This is the third last chance to qualify for 2 nonstop flights, 3 nights accommodations, tickets to Cirque, presented by FlyYEG, which is the Edmonton International Airport. Nonstop flights to over 50 destinations. Your sports trip starts with a nonstop flight from FlyYEG. Visit FlyYEG.com for more, as well as our partners down in Las Vegas, the LVCVA. Get your phones out. Get ready to text to 780-218-9999. The keyword today is Bellagio. Bellagio, 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 780-218-9999. Get that in right now. You've got about 5 minutes before he's asked to come qualify someone. After that, there's only 2 more chances. So get Bellagio in to 780-218-9999 as we are giving this away tomorrow, sometime in the morning show. Keep your phone on because you're going to have to answer to win the trip tomorrow. You have 2 months to book, a year to travel. Yes, Tommy?
It took you 144 different keywords to get to Bellagio.
Because I didn't. So like
you're saving it for the last time.
Evidently,
the closer.
Like you need good work. Like I need to spread them all out. So I went back. Well, I'll go into. I did a couple hotels early. And then I started going through it, and then I was running out of words again. Did you? And then at the end, I was like, "Okay, which hotels did I miss?" And Bellagio's part.
Did you ever get to a point where you couldn't think of something?
I used ChatGPT for some of this. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, he did. We had PCL, and not the PCL you think of.
You guys just went to Vegas.
You think of 50 words that are just associated with Vegas, like almost singular words.
Yeah. Are you going to be glad when this is over?
I think
Did we have like burlesque, flamingo?
Here's the thing
The
about
Mob.
that.
Yeah.
I gave
Bugsy
it to
Siegel.
Eric,
Yeah.
and I said, Eric, can you review these to
Godfather,
make
which
sure
you haven't
there's
seen.
no...
I have not seen. I love how you tease
why
me
didn't
about
you
that.
use like Godfather characters for him? Mo Green.
Yeah.
Because
Doesn't even know who
Bugsy
Mo
Siegel.
Green is,
No
man.
idea.
Yeah.
He has no idea who
No
Mo
idea.
I
Green
can't believe
is right
Bugsy
now.
Siegel, I
Because I
thought.
tried keeping it for like the real things that are happening.
Yeah,
there
okay.
type thing.
Well,
the guy that
Or-
started
The
Vegas,
Godfather
yeah,
isn't real.
but,
Don't tell Tom. He's.
Earmuffs.
but no, so
I
I gave
loved when
Eric
it
the
came on the
keywords.
other day. I'm like,
No, I saw that. Oh,
So I told
saw
Eric,
it.
I gave him the keywords, and I said, please review these to see if there's any ones that like you think
Was he
aren't good
lucid?
or whatever. And like this was like right after the morning show, and he had a couple words. He's like, yeah, maybe not these ones. But then like throughout this whole thing, he's like, yeah, this word, what is Iwanyk thing? Is you helped him further. I gave him to someone else to try to be like, there's no word that's a but
Eric's throwing in some like fear and loathing words
Oh
in
my
there,
God, yeah.
like so
Overall,
Anglo-Rotarian.
I will say about 75% of the words I'm proud of.
Good.
All right.
That's all right.
I still stand by. Was it dining? Dining was the one that Eric and Dusty just ripped.
Dining?
Dining.
I think of dining when I go to Vegas.
So did Gager, so did Cass.
Yeah.
They were the only two people that didn't think it was a good word, and they ripped me for it the entire time.
Was mob one of the words?
No.
That could have been one.
Buried bodies.
See, the thing is,
Oh, that's 2 days.
we're partnered with LVCPA in Las Vegas, so we're trying to promote the good stuff of Las Vegas and not go to like the Godfather casino and
That's
go,
right, yeah.
Joe Pesci's getting buried out
With
in the
his brother.
desert, you know?
Yeah.
So
Desert
and
hole.
That also does.
Desert cornfield hole.
It does take
man.
away some of the key words.
That's
I'm not
true,
gonna lie.
yeah,
There
yeah.
are some words I couldn't go with that
not
could have
go,
made this
yeah.
a little longer. Lock Shop was all specifically gambling stuff, so that worked out. That was
That's
the
good.
easiest
Yeah,
one
that's
for me.
easy. Yeah.
That's funny.
Bellagio. 780-218-99. 99's Acticum will be in a few minutes, and we will attempt to call someone for the last time on the Hangouts. Then 2 more chances to qualify. Lock Shop with Huss and Dusty, and then 2 guys in goalie with Dusty, Gager, and Cass.
Someone's literally sending in gifts of the Bellagio fountains.
All right.
As long as they texted in Bellagio,
No.
Oh,
that's
okay.
the one that gets you in. But I like the...
Hey, so tomorrow,
Maybe we do that.
The tattoo.
Yeah.
Is it happening in here?
No, I don't
No?
think so.
No?
You're getting a
Because-
tattoo?
No.
Corey B is.
One of our listeners is getting EST tattooed on him. And he thinks it's going
Wow.
to take like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
And so we're...
On his
they're-
whole
they're-
back or what?
No.
We
like,
don't know still.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Did you find out where?
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be like the Red Dragon tattoo at
This is-
EST and it turns into
Oh
like
my-
Dusty's face.
This is my
when he
neighbor who's
flexes.
a
That'd be
tattoo
crazy.
artist. So
And
she,
apparently did McCourt's
yeah,
from the Bear.
Yeah,
Wow.
so
One of his.
they've discussed and had the consult and stuff.
I
She's
like
ready to
that.
go. She's bringing in a chair and table and all
Oh,
that
sweet.
stuff.
So then, yeah, well, like I think we'll do it just outside the room where
I
like
want
a
a camera
receptionist
on it,
is.
right?
And then, so I could run a camera for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to do that today. And then also, if it goes long, we won't have just somebody getting a tattoo while we're trying to do the Hangout, which could be a little awkward.
Or cool.
Yeah. Could be other. I'm intrigued. Morning show, I'm not worried about the mic sound. It won't pick up. This room sometimes could pick up what's going on outside, so we'll see how that goes, and I might just have to adjust on the fly.
Corey was there yesterday. He didn't know for sure where. I don't know if he was like thinking forearm or what, but yeah, he's excited about it.
I hope so. I hope he's not sitting there going, I don't want to do this now. I'm
Be good.
regretting
I
this.
think tramp stamp would be great.
Oh,
Well,
that'd be
he's
lovely.
not, like, you know what? He's putting he's not putting Oilers Stanley Cup champions 2024.
Yeah.
yeah, good
So
point.
like something that it's going to be hard to change a date or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, or the
Until
there
Whale
were-
and Wolf takes over audio
there
stream
was
and we're
a-
down, and we're
there
now
was-
just the Whale and the Wolf 24/7 station.
I there was a curler once that when curling got into the Olympics got the rings, and I don't think ever got to the Olympics. But that was like kind of their motivation, right? Which is I think kind of cool. But if you don't get there,
Kind
does
of.
that turn into disappointment every time? Are
Yeah.
you like getting another tattoo to
I
go
would.
over that or?
I'd get turned into a butterfly, or like what do girls do when they get a bad tattoo?
The worst tattoo I ever saw was on a former Edmonton Oiler.
What was it?
Dan Lacouture got the flaming Dave Matthews Band on it. Lac was an interesting character. Like he wasn't the elevator didn't go all the way to the top. Well, unreal guy, but he had given the tattoo artist and I forget what it was, but he misspelled a word.
No regrets? Did he get no
kind
regrets?
of.
That's a great
basically,
one.
yeah. But it was misspelled, and he went back to the tattoo artist. What'd you do? You spelled this wrong. He goes, this is what you gave me.
Oh,
to
no.
do. So he had it filled in. So
It's like the people that get the Chinese symbols or whatever, and they get the wrong. They don't know what the meaning is, and then like people that actually know, like that's a stupid tattoo. Like it means this.
Yeah.
A friend of mine got, and it was a really cool sentiment. He got Terry Fox's the amount that he did, but I think he got it in miles or something like that. Or the wrong. I think it's like it's a great idea, but it's in the.
I don't know
people
about
don't
those
really
symbols,
understand.
those like Asian symbols. Like you don't see Asian people with tattoos that like say water.
Harmony.
That just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay, yeah.
I'm special.
See, I think you can do just like I wouldn't get anything unless it's a date that has already happened. Prediction tattoos,
They're the worst.
they're
Oh,
terrible,
God.
right?
Dicey.
Yeah.
Or
It's social media attention.
Yeah,
seeking.
like
That's
if-
all that is.
if you
Hey, look
really
what I
want to bring a
did.
tattoo in, make it like if you lose your like that would be something that the league would have done. Like they auctioned off the naming rights of one of the kids, Batman Chalupa. So
Yes.
so they would make a guy get a tattoo or something. Like that would be something you would have to do. Like, okay, you finished last 3 years in a row, you got to get a tattoo.
When everyone
Batman
goes through
Chalupa.
those phases. Like when I was younger, guys used to get those Looney Tunes cartoons.
A guy I knew who played hockey had the Tasmanian Devil with a stick.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest cliche in the Western Hockey League for
everyone
years,
had
man.
it. Everyone had them.
Everybody.
Like, oh my God, they were awful. I saw this one guy got Yosemite Sam on his arm, and he had like it didn't. The color was wrong, and I'm like,
It's
oh
just
my
so-
God, that
it's
looks.
just so-
it
yeah,
just
yeah.
looks so
Yeah,
bad.
I
but,
waited. I got a tattoo here and here, and I waited until I was way older. And they actually have significant meaning or what. So I'm so glad I didn't get the 19-year-old heart with the anchor or the Tasmanian Devil with the goalie stick because you know. I'm also glad I didn't have social media when I was younger. So there's a lot of things I'm glad where I grew up in because you would have regrets.
Yeah.
Would you regret getting the Hockey Canada logo now?
Yeah.
Because I know some guys
Yeah,
who have
that's-
that one.
Unless I won the Olympics.
Well, that's different.
Yeah, if you played, if you're a player or you were involved or
Yeah.
something, and you worked there, I would. Like, imagine if you had gotten. This is a terrible example. What if you got an OJ tattoo in the 80s? like there's just like people like that. It's like, oh my God, what did I do?
Yeah.
OJ.
Yeah, it's a killer tattoo.
Oh, how dare! Yeah.
Quickly, my grandmother, my wife's grandmother wrote OJ a letter in jail, sent him a $10 check, and he wrote her back. We actually read it on the air. Hernan put some really classical music, and I read OJ's on the air one night.
Damn.
It's the craziest story that's my crazy OJ story, is that he literally wrote back and said, "Thanks, Dorothy."
Let's get to our EST Flyaway qualifiers. Zach, who do we got on the line? Dean, congratulations. Have you? Is this your first time getting in for the Flyaway?
It sure is.
And you got in right at the wire. Congratulations. Have you been to Vegas before, Dean?
A few times, yeah.
Yeah. And who would you take with you, and what would you want to do if when you go to Vegas?
Well, I've been using the wife's phone to help qualify, so she knows about it. So she's coming for sure, and she's all in on the search show. But I think we try to time it around maybe an Oiler game there or something like that.
Awesome. Well, I love it. Well, congratulations. You got in right near the end. Be sure to keep your phone on tomorrow morning, because if you are the big winner, the boys will give you a call to let you know that you are off to Las Vegas with your wife.
Nice. And maybe I could go watch the Cheaters play.
Congrats, Dean. Best of luck. He's using his wife's phone.
Oh, nice.
So he says she knows about this, so got to take the wife to Vegas. Your next chance to qualify, second last chance, coming up on the Lock Shop. I have an OJ story. I had a meeting here a couple weeks ago, and there's a guy who coaches golfers and stuff. He's like Tony Finau's coach and stuff like that. But I guess years ago in Washington or somewhere in that area, OJ came to play around, and they had to get him clubs and stuff. Needed a glove, so he gives him a glove, and he said, and he's like, "There's nothing else I could have said, but just try this on and see if it fits." Oh, wow. And he's like, how else do you say that? How else
Was
do you go?
there, like,
he needs a glove,
awkwardness?
and he said OJ just did it, like didn't miss a beat, just didn't think about it, like
Didn't say anything?
and then afterwards signed the glove and gave it to him. Like, so
Did he sign it? It didn't fit.
I didn't ask. I did ask that. But he asked OJ, here, try this glove on to see if it fits.
It wasn't an
just,
isotoner though. It's fine.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, exactly. Just off the rack. You know?
Portions of this hour of the EST Hangout are brought to you by the Hive Product Marketing, official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Stock, promotional products that bring the buzz. Check them out, hiveproductmarketing.com. We've got a new shipment of hats in.
Yes.
Flat brim and curved hats. So if you're interested in that, thanks to our wonderful partners, the Hive, be sure to message me. Either go to the website and there's a mail submission, or you can send me an email, matt@edmontonsportstalk.com. Are you guys worried at all about the Oilers?
No.
Like, did last night change at all anything you thought of this series going ahead?
Makes them wake up. Gager, you talked about this like when you said this months ago, you're like, I watch in the first 5 to 10 minutes. If their passes are crisp and sharp, I know that they're going to have a good night. If they're not, I know it's going to be a rough night. They're probably going to lose. Yesterday, their execution and their ability to minimize mistakes wasn't good. Their decision-making wasn't good. So, and they still almost came back and won the game. So, no, I'm not worried about them. I think if they go back to playing like they did in game one, they'll be okay. And they did not bring their best game. No, they didn't get the saves from Stu Skinner. I'm not worried. I still think it's a 5-game series.
Yeah, like I mean, LA blew 3 leads in that one. So LA is probably like, hey, we didn't blow those leads, but we came back. If you're Edmonton, you might be thinking that might be the best that they have for us, and we almost won, as you said. Like that would be the mentality I have. Is like they got bounces, and they took advantage of their opportunities. That's the only game that they're going to be able to do that. Maybe one. That's the mindset I would be for the Oilers, and I think they go to LA, even if that's another split. You're still in control of the series in your situation, but you're exactly what Tom said. You can't just come out like zombie passes in your first 3, 4, 5 minutes of the game, and you know, Fogle is turning and Bouchard, and none of them, like the pass is off. Fogle's not there. Yeah. The other guy, it's like, I know Bouchard got ripped a lot for that one, but it was the whole team that congregated in the wrong areas. And again, it comes back to how sharp are you right off the bat? And you can do that in February, but in April, that could be the series. Not in a second game, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because when I watch a game, I try to mostly watch it as a fan. I don't like to critique the whole because it doesn't make it enjoyable. I want to have some fun, but I find myself when I watch and any D-man gets a puck, I'm like, okay, make a play, and when I see it just give away, like giving the other team a chance,
just a soft
dump. Or or looking off a guy, not making the for sure play, trying to find something else. Ooh, there's something. You know, the other team's going to come back because you're just giving them the puck back, and you don't want that. That was the greatest thing I think with Paul Coffey coming in. It's like make a play.
Commit to it, right?
So an exercise for Oilers fans is when they go back for the puck, just say to yourself, just make a play and see what happens. Watch that first pass. It goes tape to tape. Watch how the Oilers break out and come with speed. And that second period, I thought Evander Kane was awesome last night. He was just crushing guys. And he was playing playoff hockey. But to encompass the whole game, I would have to say that the LA Kings' best players outplayed the Oilers' best players. And that
wasn't the case in game one.
It was the opposite. It was completely the opposite. Those guys were non-existent.
And that's why I'm not worried.
Yeah.
Because I think that if this was to go to 7 games, the Oilers are going to have more top-end games and top-end players than LA. They'll just win out of the war of attrition or whatever, I think. You don't want it to get that way. You want to be able to nip this and get the confidence going in that right way. But that all starts, even before the game. And listen, guys, coaches are famous for saying, I knew we didn't have it tonight in the first 3 minutes, right? Or in the warm-up or whatever it is, right? And people think it's silly, but it is that you build your preparation at whatever time you start your thing. And if you're thinking about something else, then that leads into mistakes in the game and just not that focus, right?
And the pedigree of, Anze Kopitar and Drew Doughty. Those are guys that have been down 0-3 in series. There's a lot of experience. It's so valuable having guys that have done it and been there before too. And it was I'm a fan of those two. And they're unbelievable hockey players, and they just willed their team to come out of Edmonton with a split.
I love Drew Doughty's quote saying, "A lot of people thought I was gone, but just watch me play." Like he's still got the cockiness, and I love it. Like Drew Doughty. I don't know what I would still like to see Drew Doughty on an Olympic team just because of his presence, his experience. I'm not sure if by then he'll still have the rest of it, but that's my captain right there. Yeah. That's my guy that I want. Cockiness. I want him to get in. When McDavid was doing the glove thing, and Doughty was like, he's not afraid of going to McDavid or whatever. I just love that mindset of Drew Doughty.
For crying out loud. Yeah. Get out of here.
Yeah. Like I just think it's like
that's great.
That's a guy you want. Like you might not like playing against him, but it's just like they didn't like playing against Corey Perry. Now you love him, right? Drew Doughty. For sure, Hall of Famer, and
easily.
And I know his career dipped a little bit, and it's back up again. And I just think that guy is worth the price of admission in a hockey game.
He's not a bad music artist. Post Malone, he's good. I like his music.
That's right.
Looks exactly like him.
Just doesn't have the tats.
No, I get those tattoos.
Post Malone.
Drew Doughty and
the
Post
hair
Malone?
a little bit, yeah.
Take a look. I gotta look.
You gotta get some teardrop tats on Doughty though.
Post Malone.
It's exactly the same.
Hey, talking about pedigree and experience. Corey Perry had a rough night.
Yeah,
I think it's very safe to say. So that's another indicator. But was the kiss of death for Perry in Game 2 when Rashog did the special on him?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you want to talk about jinxes? Let's get the Rashog jinx going.
I'm just teasing, but yeah. Anyway.
But no, like it's the they call it the broadcaster jinx, right? You start talking about a defenseman, how solid they are, and then they throw a pizza up the middle, right? Yeah. I don't believe in the shutout jinx, and Connor Halley and I, when we were on the air, we'd go back and forth. It became a bit of a bit, but the amount of people that took it seriously and got so mad, it's crazy. Like I would never. Like we did a lot of Spruce Grove Saints games this year with For Vengeance Media. I would never go up to Ryan DeCook and say, "Hey, you got a shutout." Like never. Or I would never even say it to any of the players or anywhere near the bench. But I have no problem talking about a shutout on the broadcast as long as they don't hear it. But
this comes back to the window being open.
Yeah, that's right. But seriously, like if I bet you if a coach heard you say shutout on the broadcast, they would get mad at you.
Totally.
You are just hockey people. Sorry, you're just
that's sports.
It's sports people. It is like football coaches are easily the most paranoid.
They're the craziest.
The times we would show up with our cameras at Global, and if you've ever watched anything on TV, you don't show a 2-minute wide shot.
Yeah.
But that's what they think we're doing, and they think, oh. The Bombers watched Global News and saw the Hail Mary plan we're going to pick, or coaches on the whiteboard. Oh, they're looking up on the video board. Really? They got a spotter that's just like.
Well done on Post Malone and Drew Doughty. I did look.
It's pretty close.
That's pretty well done. Well done.
Well, with the hair when he's got.
I grabbed the hair one, so obviously no tats and stuff. But like it's I see
really
it. Well
tight.
done.
A court like it's a lot of Brett Kissel's fault, but it's also
what percentage would you put on Kissel?
Well, how important is the start of a game? What would we put the percent of that on?
If Kissel starts?
No, just overall. Just when you want to start a game, you want to start off strong. How important is the start of a game?
Yeah, but the guy
and then so it's whatever that is. That's Brett Kissel's fault.
But Clark went after Kissel, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So shouldn't Clark wash away anything?
Because
Kissel
why did we get Brett Kissel at all?
No, we don't need Kissel.
Clark should cancel Kissel's negativity.
I heard yesterday when I came in. I was listening.
At least 30% Kissel's fault.
I was listening to 6:30 on the way in to do the morning show, and it's Stacey Brotzel's fault too.
Why? What does she do?
She wears this pendant, and she left it at home.
Oh yeah.
So she admitted to it. So 60 for Kissel, Brotzel.
Where's Skinner? Like 10? He gets 10% of this?
Well, it's their fault, though. It's not the players' fault. They played bad because of Kissel and then Brotzel.
Yeah, so they
get something.
They get zero.
If Stacey Brotzel wears that pendant, if Brett Kissel doesn't sing the anthem, Drew Doughty's not scoring on Skinner to make it a 3-2 hockey game at that point.
Wow.
Kempe's not scoring that goal.
Yeah.
I can't believe the players got left off the hook. So is that the questions that are going in post game? Is like, hey, great shot in overtime. Do you think Kissel should be back?
Or does Bratzel need to remind herself with a post-it note to wear the pendant
Make
on
sure
game
everyone
days?
tweet at Stacey Bratzel. Don't forget your pendant.
You want to know? There's one person we are forgetting here too.
Who?
Dustin Nielsen.
He
was here for he wasn't here for post game of
Go
game
back
one.
to San Diego.
And there's a win. There's a win. Jimmy Milne came in on Tuesday morning. Gager did the morning show. That it was a nice setup for game one.
Your setup, your Tales of the North getup.
We had Eric and Gager yesterday, Tales of the North, but instead of Jay, we had Dusty come back. Yeah. And Dusty comes back and brings a loss from San Diego.
Unbelievable.
Where's his? There's a little bit of blame to Dusty.
Yeah. The one time in media that I did participate in a superstition, when 2001 I was covering the Rebels and I wanted to go to the Memorial Cup. So I was like, well, I want them to win as much as possible. So every game I would get a fountain pop, a hot dog, and popcorn. And every game that's what I would eat. Well, it's a lot of games they played, so I was like, by the end of the playoffs I wasn't feeling as good. Because they were winning.
And they're delicious.
But then I turned like 20 or whatever, and I'm like, okay, I'm an adult now. I don't have to do that.
There's a reason you did that.
That's the only time I've done that in media, and I never cheer. It worked, yeah. See? They actually won the Memorial Cup.
Because you had the fountain pop, popcorn, and hot dog.
Yeah. But I felt greasy, like kind of cheering, because you, as a reporter, you are not supposed to.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
I think that's changing.
Really? It shouldn't.
I don't. I watch more and more sports media
beat writers,
personalities that are going on TV and stuff and openly saying, this is my
beat
team.
writers.
Mean it's okay,
no.
though.
Why not? Why not? If you can be fair in your analysis of a sport, why can't you be a fan of said a
because
team
then
in
you're
said
not
sport?
fair. There's a bias.
There's a way to separate that. I believe there's a way to separate that.
Ask Jack Edwards how well he separated that.
Some people go too far. Absolutely, there's some people go too far. But look, maybe on your team it's a little bit different. But I will go to. Pardon the Interruption is one of my favorite shows ever. Yeah. It will go down as one of my favorite shows. I've been watching PTI. Okay, yeah. I've been watching that for 30 years now, or whatever it is. 25 years.
Wilbon's a big Sox.
Wilbon is a Cubs fan. He's a Bears fan.
He loves Jordan, but he won't admit that he talks to him.
He loves and he talks. But these are my teams. Tony Kornheiser goes the Nationals. I always call them that. Sorry, that was the Jersey's one. But the Nationals, that's his team. He talks about the Mets for the team of his youth. And they go out and they openly talk about. But it doesn't take away my I don't think that Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon talking NFL, NBA, they suck at NHL. So I'm going to throw that aside. MLB baseball. I don't think less of them as fans or as media guys in their opinions because of now they're fans of a team.
But they're not in those rooms and asking those players.
Right. And here's the other thing.
But that's so maybe that's beat reporters here. But then Mina Kimes is to me the best NFL analyst there is out there. Okay. Plain and simple. Yeah. She's a Seahawks fan. She admits she's a Seahawks fan.
See, that's where I'm like, because she's in those locker rooms, she's doing those press conferences, she's around.
Yeah, and just because Wilbon and Kornheiser can do it doesn't mean everybody else can do it. So why should they do it?
Why? But so who made the rule that says you can't do it back in the day? It's a very arbitrary thing.
Well, it's a professional
because
rule.
You believe that it's to be professional.
Okay, here's an example.
I'm a fan of the Edmonton Elks now. I will admit that. I could go into an Elks locker room and not be a fan.
Yeah, but not everybody can do that. So I'm just saying
do pre and post for the Elks.
That's why that precedent is there, because not everybody can do it.
And that's where, though, I think it's opening up to me that I feel like it's okay to be fans of certain teams. We don't cover MLB baseball, but I'm a Yankee fan.
That's right.
I'm a Laker fan.
I'm
a
not going to the Dodger locker room, so I can call that's how I look at it. If I'm covering a league, I'm not a fan. So here's an example. When Atlanta was still in Atlanta, the Thrashers, I went down to a practice one day and I wore a Winnipeg Jets toque, an old logo. And Mac T was like, oh, I love that. That's great. If I would have worn a Winnipeg Jets toque after the Jets had came back in, there would have been a much different reaction than I would have received, right? And I stopped my Jets stuff, wearing it when I was covering in the NHL. So I think it really depends. And just because these guys do it, well, it's like anything. There's a lot of great podcasts out there. but not a lot of great podcasts. There's a lot of them, and not. So I think it's a slippery slope.
Well, but I'm just using that as the examples because if you look globally, like I feel like there's a lot of soccer reporters I follow. They cheer for the teams they cover.
Yeah,
this is a global thing. It's like a North American thing that, like, I've heard from many stories from Olympics that other countries' media comes and openly in the press box cheering for their countries.
Yeah.
It's a very North American thing that we believe it's professional.
But I think
to
that's also
to not be a fan.
It's supposed to be objective.
Yeah, it's also different.
But you
when
aren't
it's
objective.
national.
There are a lot of reporters out there that don't
Fake
like
it.
players because the player was mean to them. Or they like a player because the player was nice to them. That's a bias.
Of course it
That's
is.
not being objective
Of
anymore.
course.
So if that is going to get into your mind as a reporter,
But that shouldn't
whatever it is,
either.
but it does. So
I know.
Well,
but there's also a lot of really bad reporters out there, dude, too. Like, come on.
But I think we're getting to a day and age where, like, ultimately in the end, it's like, you don't go, like, I'm not going to go in Elks locker room wearing Elks gear. Like, there is, I think, an entire professionalism that you need to have with things. And
It'd be funny, though.
Try Bombers gear. See how that goes.
Like, you don't go into clothes of other teams. You don't go into clothes of all that. Like, to me, there's codes of that professionalism. But I could separate my Elk fandom from all of that. And I don't think the players would care that I'm going over here saying I'm also an Elks fan. I don't think fans care anymore.
I think
don't
it's a slippery
fans look at the
slope
media.
because of the next generation of fangirl and fanboy that thinks, oh man,
that's cringe.
This guy is a great fan. I want to go in it and like I went into broadcasting and media, and thankfully I had a person who had gone into it in my family who could tell me a little bit, like, don't be a fan, don't wear your Wheat King hat to Wheat King practice. Like it's just you're not that. You're now, even though you grew up loving the Wheat Kings, you have to not be a Wheat King fan anymore. You can't be a WHL fan. And so it was kind of taught to me a little bit, and that's a little bit old school in me. And I just don't like it. I find it's a slippery slope, just like a bias of a player, negative or, how many times did I get pissed off at Chris Pronger deciding who got to ask the first question? It was annoying. It was terrible. It didn't mean I ripped him when he made a mistake, which was rare. So it's about being a professional. And I think a lot of professionalism has been lost, unfortunately, because the industry has collapsed around us. And there's not as it's so much casual now. And the person that just flips on, like there was a kid the other day watching the Knicks game, and it just looked like he was crying almost when the Knicks lost or whatever, the Sixers lost. And I'm like, why do you want to watch that, man? I don't. I dig the fan stuff. That's fine, and it has its place. But if you want to be an actual journalist and go into those locker rooms, I think you got to hide it at the very least.
And that's where I'll say, like with the professional, I think there's a way to still be a fan but keep it professional.
That's fair.
And that's where I'm thinking it's okay to openly say I am a fan of a certain team, but you also then can't
I don't
be
like
fanboying
opening that window and being like, this is my team.
I could be
And
like,
now
I
I say that
have
about
a
the Elks,
fan
but I
who's
don't like
on our
it.
station is a Devils fan.
Yeah.
He says he's a Devils fan. Like I could go to so many examples nowadays
I'm not a fan of
media
that.
fans that say that I'm a fan of a team, because I think also for fans out around, they kind of want to listen sometimes nowadays to people who also kind of like the team that they want to listen to.
Yeah, there's probably a place for that, but I just think
And I'm not saying like
there is.
everyone has to go that way, but I think there's now room to go and do that.
But if you're working and you're in there and you're face to face, if you
So
can
I'm wrong
maintain
saying I'm
that,
an Elks fan.
well,
Oh no, I see what you're going. I see what you're going.
I like the Elks too. They're my escape. But if I'm going down to practices this year and I don't want to cover games. That's your job this year. But I want to go and cover them on walkthrough day, right?
But you can go and sit in
put
the
it aside.
stands. So can you go and sit in the stands and wear an Elks hat?
I do it.
I wear an Elks. I don't have a lot of Elks gear. I bought an Elks shirt.
Would you
for
go
last
to an
year in the
Oiler game
stands.
and wear an Oiler hat?
No, but
So why would you do it at an Elks game?
Oh, because I'm not. Like the Oilers aren't. I lost my love of the Oilers for being media, because I was with you guys. Like I did for the longest time believe media you don't cheer for teams, and Elks I threw that away. The Elks fandom has come back to me. The Oilers hasn't.
Yeah.
But if I was an Oilers fan, I'd go wear an Oilers hat. Canada Soccer came through town. I didn't even think about getting a media pass. I interviewed some guys. I interviewed some guys on the radio station, but I was in the supporters section, fully decked out in Canada gear, cheering on Canada.
I think international is different when we're all cheering for one
Right,
company.
but you're not being professional now, then, in a sense, right?
Well, if
Like,
you're working that
Yeah,
game,
no,
then-
I'm talking about wearing gear
Okay.
as a fan. Like going, I would
But
never
so-
wear a Canada hat to a Canada game in the press box,
No.
but I would wear a Canada hat in the fans. I would never
Yeah.
wear an Oilers hat to an Oilers game if I was covering the Oilers.
I don't know,
Yeah.
you guys sound just dead inside to me. I don't know. How
Well, that's what being in media does, man.
Hey,
Wait,
I'll just-
Tommy, you're gonna find out. This post-game show kills your soul.
Oh, I
How long
didn't
have
have
you been
one.
doing it
It
for?
got killed.
It
My
got
ears
killed.
at Oilers
Exactly,
TV. Yeah.
so, yeah.
They
It's-
beat that thing to a pulse.
like I like because I was on your guys' side for the longest time. I get where you're coming from. I'm just okay now seeing it. I feel like it's opening up more where people are.
Yeah, I-
are being
no, I
able
agree.
to-
I don't like
they're,
it.
They're being
I
fans,
agree.
and that's fair. That like
don't
you
like
guys
it.
have
Opening
your
up,
opinion,
yeah.
and I do believe like you have to unlock them. You still have to be professional. Like
Yeah.
I still think if I'm wearing a suit to a game and I'm wearing a tie, I make sure I try to make sure my tie doesn't match any team. Like just straight up. I don't want to even have that little bias shown where
Now,
it's like
here's
I'm
the-
there's no cheering in a press box. I stand by that.
Yeah, it's not a pep rally, it's a press box.
working.
That's what I say.
Well, it's a workplace.
Yeah, and
we're
so
not
here's the-
we're paid to watch the game. We're
do
paid
even
to
a
cover
subtle
it.
pumpernickel?
no pump.
No,
No,
the only,
no
you know
fist
the only
pumps
time,
at
I give it a little.
You know the
like
only
this.
time I'm okay with things.
But you're a former
When-
player, so that's fine.
When something unbelievable happens, like there's reaction, like Kempy's goal yesterday, going, "Oh my god!"
Well,
like,
that's- yeah, but
When,
you're not
when
giving a-
something
you're not-
hockey-wise, where it doesn't matter,
you're
what
not doing
team,
the heartbreaker.
Something amazing happens. I remember the Sam Gagne 8-point night, how the press box was kind of losing its mind.
I left
but
that
that's
game
because
early.
we were.
Oh, that
we
was
were
wild.
watching
I
history.
went
It
home
was
and I'm
like, how
different.
did I leave
It was
8-point
special.
game?
And
That
it
was
didn't have to deal with the game. I think it would have still happened if it was the
That's
Blackhawks
a
doing
one
it with the
regret.
Oilers.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a regret.
But yeah, like, you still have to be professional. Like,
Yeah.
If you can't separate your fandom while covering the team, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
But if you can separate the two, if you could believe, and again, there's always a bias no matter what, but if you believe that you could sit there and be like the Elks, if I could be fair on this team this year, that's always going to be my goal.
Yeah,
Then
like-
I'll gladly still admit that I'm also a fan of the team.
As a media person, I would want, let's say, the Oilers to have success because it
good
was
for
good
you.
for my city.
Yeah.
It was good for my friends like Jack Cookson, who, that relies on that.
Yep.
It's good for the business owners that I knew that needed that. So was I like skipping to my car in 2006 after? Well, I kind of was because it was the Stanley Cup final. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. But in the early rounds, I said to some, don't you want them to win? I'm like, well, I don't really care one way or the other, but for the sake of everybody, after seeing what Calgary got to celebrate, I was like, I want this city to have that just for everybody else. And I was an Oilers fan until '88, until they traded Moog to Boston. I bled Oilers. I would not talk to my uncle from Edmonton after '88. So I went wherever Moog went. I was a diehard fan at one point. Literally, I said after the Steve Smith goal that the Oilers scored and they didn't count. Like I lied to my whole class the next day. So I was a diehard fan, but you get to this stage and you're trying to be non-biased, but you still realize how important it is for everything around you.
Yeah.
Like game 80 or game 60, who cares?
Yeah.
Game 2 of the playoffs, you know how big of a deal is. We remember the craziness of not just 06, but even just a few years back, even alibi years. Like it was the city
Great times.
It really does come together. So as much as you don't care whether they win or lose, you want them to win so that you have more stuff to cover, etc. So it's a weird dynamic.
Yeah, it is.
So Kate's gave it a little pumpernickel last night for another home date. Is that what?
That's fine.
100% he did.
Yeah.
Let's do this in 5 for
exactly.
another 2 million game or whatever it is. Yes.
But
2
it's
million.
like
Jesus.
I also think analysts that are former players are in a different situation because you are a former Oiler for life.
Yeah.
So that's different. Like when I see an analyst saying, "Oh, us," or when
Matt
that's
T was
fine.
saying we when we had him on.
He always says it now.
Hey,
The whole thing.
and
He
that's
was the
fine.
complete we, but he was player, coach, GM.
That's what
He's
I mean.
done a bunch.
When you
Senior
have been
advisor.
in that and you've worn that uniform, all bets are off. You're allowed to do what you want. Like I think.
Yeah, but I think he did the same thing when he was with St. Louis too. When he talked about he said we too.
yeah.
So now that he's home and does the broadcast, it's hard for him not to.
Do you use
probably.
we for any other teams?
No.
Just Oilers?
Not many other teams really liked me. It's hard for me to do that. I think there's contractual obligations for me not to say I was part of that organization. But whatever.
The fact, where were the biggest Gage fans? Like, where was the Gageaholics?
Oh, Gageaholics, jeez. There wasn't that many, but I'd have to say probably in Europe. I was the BMOC. I was the big man on campus there.
See, that would have been cool. Like, you come to the rink, I came here. And again, there was like some people outside. I thought it was your version of the Whack Packers, like Stern has. I guess it would be the AM Nasties or whatever.
We got the Nasties.
I'm like, are these guys hanging out, like waiting for autographs outside or something like that? But in Europe, when you kind of become like that, almost like cultist figure on a team, it's kind of neat. Like the Utah last night, the spicy tuna guy, Liam. Oh yeah, was it Liam Donovan? I think is his name. He goes, "I'm Liam." They all did. I'm spicy tuna. That guy's going to be a hero in Utah now from their very first year, right? Yeah, that's a neat feeling, I think, to in those situations.
It's great. Yeah, I mean, even I played in a small hamlet in Germany. Everyone knew me. Even Italy, but my name was on the side, like because they give you a car usually.
Oh yeah,
and I was sponsored by Honda. So
they put your name on the car?
Oh, yeah. It was a big Honda, tons of our team logos. And on the side of the car, it said Fahrt mit Joaquin Gage, like drive with Joaquin Gage and Honda.
That's
so
cool.
I would go down the street and everyone would be waiting.
So you're in a parade every day.
I was like the Pope.
Gager,
the Pope mobile.
Is there a Washington Capitals preseason jersey with your name and number on it out there somewhere?
There might have been, but I was gonna be in one, and then I got gassed because I think Kolzig wanted to play. No, Kolzig wanted to play the whole game.
Damn.
Yeah.
What number was it?
Oh, I don't know. No. I was always gonna try to get into a game, but then it didn't happen.
Olaf.
Baggio, he asked this via the inbox. I see what you guys are reasoning, but if it's Game 7 of the Cup Final for the Oilers and they score an OT to win it, what is your reaction? Curious. Baggio.
I get up and go down and do an interview.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, even Game 7 of the 2006 Final, I don't know why I wasn't where. It was a Monday, that's why. And I was at home, and I wasn't cheering. I was just like watching the game because you just get ingrained to it. Now, I cheered when the Dodgers won the World Series. I cried, but
that's beautiful.
It's because I never going into that Dodger locker room to interview Clayton Kershaw or whatever. So for that, it's different. But and I would have been happy. Like, I lived 10 blocks from White Ave during that 06 run. So I was loving it, man. So I wanted them to win, but I wasn't fist pumping or anything like that. Like, you just, maybe if the Jets were to win the Cup, I would, like, I'd be a little bit excited. Like, when I wasn't within the media again, I went to a Jets game and wore a Jets hat because I wasn't covering, it was in between what I was doing, and I thought, oh, this is kind of fun again to do this because it'd been how many years to do it. But I don't think, now you get back into this, you can't.
You buy the Oakleys, you get down there.
Yeah.
You try to get a little sip out of that bad boy if you can. Sneak.
Yeah.
I will say, one example of how some media would act is pay attention to Rashog after the golden goal. You could see him on the camera. He's on, like, behind the boards or something, and he doesn't react really.
No. He
goes into the media like, okay, I'm gonna have to interview somebody right away here. Yeah. Like, it's straight work, game over. Canada won. Probably was like, sweet, Canada won, but work mode. So there are those.
Yeah, like there's an internal fist pump or something like that. You're excited.
You go crush beers after.
Yeah.
There's some other examples that you can find where reporters they are there covering a great game or something, and there's no reaction. And actually, Jay Wright, he was the 1 point Villanova head coach for basketball. They won on a buzzer beater the national championship, and he didn't move. Yeah. Like, he just immediately went to go shake Roy Williams' hands, and, like, there was no jumping up and down. He was the coach of the damn team.
Yeah, like,
that just won. So some
assistant
people
coaches
doesn't matter.
I find often get more excited than the head coach, right? Like, even regular overtime, it's the assistants and the trainers, and the head coach is like, all right.
I love just speaking of, like, stoic looks. Is that one when Reggie Miller was talking about going up against the Bulls in Game 6, I think. And he hits a huge shot to go ahead by 1. And the Indiana's going nuts. And Reggie Miller was great storytelling. Everyone's going. And then you look over at Larry, and he's the only one in the whole building that's because he knows that Michael Jordan's going to get one last look at this thing. And he's just like,
he knows.
He's the whole team. Everyone's going nuts. And he's the only one that's like, shit.
He's just like composed and he knows exactly.
This is the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer, Iwanyk, Joaquin Gage, Tom Gazzola, Dean Millard with you here. This just coming down from the NHL over the last hour. No real details fully into it, but the NHL officially announces a 2-year deal with Amazon that will see Prime Video become the home of national Monday night games in Canada starting next season. It's a 2-year deal with Sportsnet selling these national rights to Amazon. It's unclear who will handle production for games and if Amazon will hire their own crew. So it sounds like if you're going to want to watch any hockey, national hockey games, I should make clear on this one, on Monday nights, you will need Amazon Prime.
So
by the
there'll
counts
only
of
be
this.
like one game, I'm
One or
guessing.
two games at night.
But you call that.
But there'd be the regional games aren't
Yeah, if the
part of
Oilers
this
are playing
package.
the Canucks, you'll still see that on Sportsnet.
If it's regional.
If it's a regional game.
But if they make that a national game,
You need Prime.
You will need Amazon Prime to see that. So Edmonton has been very lucky over the last number of years because the regional deals with Sportsnet, the national deals with Sportsnet. So you just have to go to Sportsnet to watch Oilers. In Winnipeg, for instance, the regional deals with TSN, the national deals with Sportsnet. So you have to know which channel it's going to be on. Edmonton's now going to have to get used to this a little bit. Monday nights, it sounds like now it looks like, and we'll have to see how the full details comes out.
Right.
But you might need Amazon Prime now to watch hockey in Canada starting next season.
I wonder if with the NHL Center Ice package, is that exclusive, like outside of that? Or because you're supposed to get every out-of-market game on
But that's a
NHL
market
Center
game.
Ice.
But that's an in-market game. A national game's an in-market game.
Is that how they...
I would think.
But if it's not... If
Because
it's Chicago, Dallas, and it's a national game...
But that's a U.S. national game, not a Canadian national game.
These are only Canadian
This is
teams?
for Canada. This is for Canada. This is Canadian deal. So because and it's
So
2
if it's
years because
Montreal,
Sportsnet's only got
Ottawa,
2 years left.
That's right. So if it's Montreal, Ottawa...
And it's a national game.
It's
for the country.
I should be able to watch it on
Prime.
Center Ice. Because it's an out-of-market game.
It's in market. Oh, you're saying if you're here
I'm in Edmonton.
You're in Edmonton.
I'm in Montreal.
No, because it's a national game. It's
So national games are not part of
the
Center Ice?
national market would be the
It'd
country,
be like
would it
if
not?
it was on TSN, you'd have to have a subscription to TSN.
I would think
Right,
it's
but-
because national, but I'm saying like national.
Every
I feel like,
out-of-market game is supposed to be on Center Ice. Even national games.
But I say, and I don't know that. I'm assuming that if it's not on, their excuse would be, or the reasoning would be that you're in the market for a national game because the
I
national
would
is
be
Canada.
so choked if I still bought that because you're like restricting games and more games. And I'm like,
Feels like Center Ice is kind of going by the wayside. And I know some stuff with NHL Network and Disney and all that. Like they need to figure out what's like because they keep doing 1-year contracts. So something's got to change there, and that's coming soon.
Hold on one sec, boys. Jeff, you need an analyst for next year?
That's our guy. That's our boy.
Not Jeff
Joaquin.
Jackson, Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos.
I just think it's...
DL. Oh no, sorry. Hunter Mom says the fact that I can't watch any Canadian team in Canada is BS.
It is.
That's
DL,
fair.
a lot of
Good
BS
point.
blackouts.
Yeah.
Coach Mike says, he brings up this Amazon thing for next season. He says, thoughts? We're going to have to get used to it, bottom line.
Yeah, look at what the NFL does. And
They're starting it.
A couple of times ago, we were on here. I think it was when Will.
Yeah.
And I said, there's no way they're getting the same amount. You guys were like, no, they're going to break it up. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly how they're going to have to do it to get to the same dollar figure. So you're going to have, what does the NFL have? 4? Now 5? See, the 3 networks.
So they have
Amazon.
ABC/ESPN. They got NBC. They got CBS. They got Fox. They got Amazon.
So 5 at least.
I think that's
Then
it.
there's the NFL Network, which is their company though. But the NFL Network technically
They don't do those games anymore. That's the prime game, isn't it? On Thursdays, the NFL Network used to do the Thursday
They not
game.
still do a couple games a year.
Maybe they do, but that's the way
can't
the
be not.
NHL package is going to have to go. Is you're
Yeah.
going to have to get. Well, we know that the TSN's no way they're putting anywhere near the money Sportsnet did. So you're exactly right. You're going to have to get used to having. It's so funny because you went. I don't want to have cable because I want to have all these things and bundling. I don't want to bundle all my channels. Well, now you're bundling streaming packages.
becoming the
If
same
your
thing.
cable package was $100, how much does it cost to have Prime, Netflix, Crave, Apple, Disney? What am I missing?
It just gives my wife
Paramount.
another reason to order stuff on Amazon.
Yeah, that's right.
She's doing this for me. That's
that's nice. That's nice.
So
You get to watch your hockey, dear.
So
I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna go order this. Hey,
this
you
is
want to
for
watch
you.
the hockey game tonight? Oh, you've got it. Don't worry. I'll set you up over here.
Yeah.
Just
There's
and then
so
just
many
buy.
and then there's
boxes,
the
front
ESPN thing
door.
that they're doing in the States where they're kind of going
Well,
back to cable on streaming. So it's
ESPN,
weird.
Disney, or ESPN's
CBS?
Disney, Discovery, Fox. Is it Warner's in there? There's a bunch that have tried coming together to build a sports streaming platform that you'll get all the sports.
Yeah,
but the
and
leagues are fighting
CBS
against that
is
one.
not in it.
And and I think
Yeah.
a bunch of people are now fighting against it to be like,
Wow.
you can't do that.
Well,
and there's, but the leagues don't necessarily want it as much. So,
but here's
Who's
the
the
thing.
first team that's going to do it completely in house though?
Well, I think the Dallas Mavericks and Mark Cuban is a
like
guy.
you're saying,
or
all their games,
Ballmer.
like
All
their
their
regional
games,
games.
Right.
give it
I think
the-
it'll be a Cuban or a Ballmer, one of those guys.
and give
in
it
the
like
NBA.
like exclusive content behind the scenes, almost a like Drive to Survive, but with all the things that go along with that, with the games every.
Well, the closest is the Yankees kind of do it. The
Do they?
Yankees have the Yes Network, which they own.
Utah does
And it's
Jazz
on their own
Plus,
thing.
by the way,
But-
which is a thing, and
yeah.
so keep an eye out for that if you're
So
going to be a Utah
Yes
fan.
Network is that
Yankee owns.
Yeah, but
and they've sold, I think, parts of it.
well, I'm just wondering where that is in the cable package. Is it like how much extra? Is it like a
Yeah.
Netflix extra? Is it like
I don't know.
five? Like because you can get those sports package, those bundles. The Dodgers have like Spectrum LA, and they just have like a Spectrum LA Dodgers channel, Spectrum LA Lakers channel, Spectrum, like so they just like have different channels for each of them. I don't know if they own it, but it's the same. And then they have like Backstage Dodgers and all these different shows and things, and like kind of like Oil Change,
Yeah.
And then the Oilers flirted with the pay-per-view games and things like
Yeah.
that. I don't think we're there yet.
The
Like
Dodgers won't do it because their TV package is ridiculous.
Yeah,
locally.
and-
their
and-
local deal is like $1 billion
and they're
locally
they're
for some
getting
reason.
now
right?
they're getting worldwide attention
Yeah.
from so much.
So
but
I don't think they give up those
they
right
wouldn't.
money, but some
I
other
think it'll be
teams
an
would.
NBA team that will kind of look in. Like I said, I think Ballmer and
Well, like, I'll throw two out
Cuban.
there in a sense that would make sense. One is Fenway Sports Group and Entertainment.
Yeah.
Can you build an online streaming platform that gets you the Red Sox, that gets you the Penguins, that gets you the
maybe. Yeah.
the future NBA team in Vegas? Or what about maybe even
What
Ryan
about a
Smith
soccer
in
team?
Utah?
Like, what about a football
Well,
team in Europe? Like, what about one of the big like they seem to be able
No,
to.
I don't think they would ever go that far. They have their own channels.
Yeah.
You could
Like-
subscribe to Manchester United television, Liverpool television, and they play preseason games, or during the game you could listen to an audio
Yeah, that's
of it.
cool. I'm
But
just
I don't think they
wondering
would ever jump
If we
forward.
look at the two biggest, the NFL and European soccer, and I think F1 is, pardon the pun, coming up
Okay,
really
F1 for
fast. Would those leagues be the ones that could do it because they seem the biggest of all, the less to lose, right? Like well, they have the most to lose, but they will probably lose the less. Like the NFL to me is bulletproof. They can almost try anything. If the NFL said we're going to go and
Completely
put
on our own, They
I
could.
think people might they're going to lose some, but
This is
or
where
college. I
NFL
don't know.
will never bring it in house. I don't think either. Again, because somebody's going to pay them billions of dollars,
Yeah.
and they're
Sure,
going to do
yeah.
all the production.
Yeah.
They'll do all the production. They do everything.
Yeah.
You just give them the games.
And that's the
Basically
thing.
Ubering it.
That's the thing is leagues don't understand, or they look at the cost of it and be like, well,
Yeah.
why we have a
Why would I
turnkey
do it?
I don't know if
operation?
that's Tommy has mentioned it before or others, but like Oilers Plus, like you kind of envision that's the goal.
That's yeah.
But somebody, and again, I don't want to put words in your mouth if it's you or someone else. They're now starting to realize the cost of producing
was
the game.
me.
It wasn't is kind of high.
Yeah.
It actually. You have to pay for a switcher and cameraman. And, we got to pay for all this production stuff to put these games on.
And it's not cheap.
Renting
Had to
a
pay-
truck
had
is
to
like
pay my
40,000.
salary.
Yeah,
you gotta
Dome
pay
doesn't
the
turn
agent.
on their truck for 60
Yeah.
grand.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
So now that's where it's like, okay, well, or we could just keep taking Sportsnet's money and they'll do all that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we're good with that for
Yeah.
now. So that's where that's going to be the tough part. When do teams realize they can make more money doing
When
it
does it make
themselves?
sense?
Yeah, and how?
I don't know
Like,
when that
and how
happens.
is that? Because
Yeah.
they're certainly not there yet, or else they'd be doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're not leaving any dollar on the table if
And
they can.
there's the initial people would be pissed.
Oh yeah.
People are always going to be pissed. This going
Yeah,
to
I
streaming is
know.
going to piss people off.
I know.
Like, again, I don't have Amazon Prime in an easy way. I do have it, but like I like switching between channels. I like flipping. I don't know how easy it's going to be to flip for me now from Amazon Prime watching a Oilers game to going to a baseball game on
for
TSN.
me, it's
You just got to go from homie 1 to homie 2. But.
Yeah, I just have a Chromecast, so you can just flip back and go into the other app.
But how it's not as instant as cable. Like I will always fight for cable.
Oh, I
It's
see
just
what you
like
mean. Like
the quick, like even just
you gotta go
when
to
you turn
Amazon,
on the
find
internet
the game,
channel,
turn it on.
streams just that extra 20 or 10 seconds or whatever, 5 seconds.
I wonder
Whereas
if this is only
TSN, I can flip through TSN's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go to my Sportsnet, and I can do that
cable
like that.
Chromecast
Cable's
does have a
great.
history
I got it
thing,
right
so
away.
you
do that.
you still do the history, but I don't think it'd go in and out of apps. So I see what
And
you're
I also
saying.
am very intrigued to see how it is with Twitter, because cable, it's very good, it's very timely, like the delay.
You can't.
Streaming is
You can't.
later, and
Yeah.
they need to find a way to bring that closer because people like being on Twitter while watching a game. And if you're on Twitter and all of a sudden somebody's tweeting Oilers just scored, and I'm going what? And then the Oilers score, I'm getting off Twitter because I'm gonna be pissed off.
I don't mind that so much. The other day I was on the MLB app and I'm like, oh, Shohei Ohtani just hit one 450 yards. I want to see that. And then it made me. I was watching the hockey game. I switched it over. And I got to see it, so I don't mind it in that regard because I don't miss stuff. But when
it takes away the excitement.
It does take away. Now I was working, I wasn't like specifically. But if you're sitting down to watch a game, you don't want your goal horn to go off, and then before the power play starts, you're like, oh man, that's anticlimactic, right? So I do get that
because I've experienced this. Like Tommy and I, where we live, it's right next to Mosh Pit, and they're ahead of me.
Oh yeah,
they're ahead of me. So
they are.
I'll sit there, and then there'll be a loud cheer, and I'll go, "Oh, Oilers are about to score." Cool. Like,
you need noise cancelers.
Like it ruins it all
It's
because
so loud.
like you don't get the anticipation of a goal.
Shut up down there!
Like that anticipation, and when it happens, because like you want that excitement, but knowing that it's coming now, it's just like
funny.
That's
totally,
awful.
it does.
So that's where
for me,
you get off
sometimes
of it.
it's great. Like it would be great at work if you were doing something and that goal light would go on because you know how something's happening. If you're like doing a pre-tape or something, you could go over and do this. But for the excitement thing, it does.
It happens in the alumni room too because there's 2 TVs on each wall, but they're delayed. So, and everyone's sitting. So one side of the room will go nuts. Yeah. And then the other side, when it's funny when people don't realize it, why is everyone so happy? And it's like 5, 4, 3. That's great.
I just want to go through the Oilers' schedule this year. I don't know which ones were national games, which one weren't. They had one Monday in April.
National were always Monday.
And Wednesday.
But were there no regionals?
There was very little.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's one in April this year that would have been on Prime. There was 2 in February that would have been on Prime. There was none in January, none in December.
Well, you know
3
next
in
year
November,
David's going to be on Prime a couple of times.
3 in November and none in October. So you're looking
Once
at
a month.
Monday
I
and
bet
Wednesday?
you there's a Monday game every
Monday?
no,
month.
just Mondays.
Oh, just Mondays.
Just
they're doing.
Monday's the
Okay.
deal. So next year, I'm guessing, if I had to guess, you're looking at 7 to 10 games.
You'll get
of
8
the Oilers will be on
Oiler
Amazon
Monday
Prime.
games, yeah.
And they won't be on Sportsnet. Like,
But that's good because you need to get that down. I mean,
Hey,
what
but
Pat
fans are gonna be
McAfee did with
pissed
the
at that.
Jets the other day was so awesome.
Oh,
I mean,
unreal.
Listen, Winnipeg and Edmonton, probably the top 2 cities that are on players' list of not wanting to come to, even though both cities have gorgeous areas that you can get to, and you really don't have to deal with it.
Better
And
taxes
so-
in Alberta.
Yeah. Listen, there's a lot of better things, and I'm from Manitoba. But those 2 teams are always on those lists, whatever. So for Winnipeg to get that atmosphere, and Pat McAfee's figuring out where it is on the map, and I just thought, man, Winnipeg gets ripped all the time. For him to do that was so massive, and the only thing I liked what Steve Levy said is I wish they would go back to white at home because it's like. White out, dark jerseys, right? Because that started in the 80s with the white at home. And trust me, it was the coolest thing ever to see the white jersey. They did it for the final game, too, against Detroit in that 96, and it looked so awesome. So if they could ever get back to that white out, you want to talk about superstition. That whiteout has never won. They've never done anything with it, but they keep going back to it.
I rip on the whiteout just because white is the symbol of surrender.
Oh.
I just
but
I always
white
look
was
at that and go, why are you all wearing white? It was the symbol of surrendering
because
here.
it was their home jerseys in
I
the
know,
80s.
but it's just to me the whiteout is like, well, that kind of I just look at it as the surrendering.
Like I think Edmonton looks really cool with a
Orange
lot of
great.
the orange and blue. Like if you're wearing white, you're going to stand out. But you can wear an orange with the blue or the blue with the orange, and the crowd looks great. It's not all one, but it still looks really cool. And I think Carolina does a good job, and it's awesome.
My childhood friend came. We went to a game a few months ago in the winter, and he's from Vancouver, and came in, and he was like, "I can't believe how many Oilers jerseys," and he goes to Canucks games, and there's a few, but nothing like here. And I think it's the contrast between the two. The
they stand out so much.
Flames,
right?
You could tell a lot of Flames do a good job. The red shows
the red. When they do the red, it's really good. But it's such a great thing for the NHL, first of all, to have one of its smallest markets on a major show to get that shout out. Like, that's what the NHL
does a good
job.
He does a great job of promoting hockey.
He does a really good job of being genuine.
Yeah.
Like, he's genuinely impressed. He's not just the producer says, "Hey, we should show this." Oh yeah, okay. He is like, "Holy crap! Look at you can tell he was genuinely impressed and whatever." And then Steve Levy's like, "Yeah, that was our first Jets game on ESPN all year."
Yeah.
Well, of course they're not going up to Winnipeg.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, maybe we should get some more. Well, you're not getting that in the regulars. But anyway, it was just a great moment for Canada and one of the small markets.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, were you about to say something or no?
Probably.
No.
It's probably going to be awesome too.
No, it's gone.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're not missing anything.
Thank you for that, though. I appreciate
GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show back tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Tommy will be at Hudson's on White. Reserve your table because that place is going to be packed on Friday night.
You want to come?
I'm going to come
then
down.
Sunday will be the watch party for Game 4. Coming up next here on Edmonton Sports Talk, it is the Lock Shop, followed by 2 guys and a goalie. I didn't see any messages about the stream through these 2 hours. So I might have broken it.
Matt's
There's 2
life
things.
might
there's down to 2 things that I think might be the cause. They're different here and then there for today.
What will you do to celebrate if you have fixed this? Like, will you go buy yourself something?
I will never believe it's fixed until probably months from now.
Yeah,
you got to give yourself if it's good, you got to give yourself a reward.
But I don't know when it will be good for months, like because I
pre-reward.
will think it will be good for a couple weeks, and then if it pops in, then it's not like I didn't do it right. So I got to double check.
He's got a Dutch master sitting in his office
there
waiting
you go.
for him.
That's good.
Dean Gager, thanks for coming in. Tommy, great job today.
You too.
On behalf of Dean, Tommy, Gager, I'm Matt. Thanks for tuning into the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. Like I said, the Lock Shop with Dusty and Huss coming up in just a few minutes here on Edmonton Sports Talk. They have the second last chance to qualify for the EST Flyway. So stay tuned for that.
Let's go. There you go, right in front of the camera.
First-time guest, long-time listener, fan of the original draft commissioner.
Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with here. Joining us today